Hello and welcome back to all our viewers and our fresh subscribers to our channel to yet again an interview episode. I'm back with another very special guest. This time it's overseas. Until now, we were having people from our beautiful country to interview. Today, we have a special guest from overseas who has been very kind to take out some time out from his busy schedule and share with us his cricketing experience and a plethora of knowledge. He is a very renowned personality in the English domestic circuit. Let me tell you, he boasts of a whopping 1,000 domestic wickets and happens to be the only player in the past 15 years who has won as many as 5 county championships, and also happens to be one of the winners from the 2010 T20 World Cups, which England had won. And today, I take extreme pleasure to welcome Ryan Sidebottom. Ryan, thank you so much for joining the show. How are you keeping?
I'm very well. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. Good morning from England. Happy afternoon to everyone in India. But yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for asking. I'm delighted to be chatting to you about all things cricket.
So let's have you talking about all things cricket, as you just correctly mentioned. Let's start with this interview proceeding. So, Ryan, I would like to know, have you been following this ongoing test series between India and England? And if yes, how is it going on for you? Are you enjoying this battle between these arch rivals?
Absolutely. I think, obviously, being an English ex-player and supporter of England, it's not going too well at the moment, is it? You would say. But I think as a test series, it's always a well-watched, dominated all over the world in terms of the press and the papers when India and England come up against each other. It's been great, hasn't it? I really feel as though it's been a wonderful test series. It's had a lot of ebbs and flows and drama and a little bit of theatre with decisions that could have gone either way. And then also the arrival of some young, wonderful cricketers, I would say probably more on the Indian side that I've not really heard of, young Jaiswal and Sarfaraz and guys coming in and playing beautiful cricket. It's like they've never been away from the game. So I've really enjoyed this test series so far, really have.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear from you. So, what's your take about this Bazball approach which England have introduced and popularized in the cricketing world? Do you think it is working out the right way for England?
Well, I'm sure everyone's talking about Test cricket again, which is, for me, truly wonderful because there has been issues with the shorter formats taking over, and you've got the 100 in England. Obviously, the IPL is growing and moving to various other places in the world of cricket. So yes, of course, Bazball. I don't like the word Bazball. What I feel is that England now have just going out there and playing with freedom and just backing their players to the hilt and being ultra positive. I think what comes with that, though, is you also do need to find the balance in Test cricket. You can't just go Bazball all the time because you'll get found out. And I think we saw the case within the last Test match where England probably thought, we'll chase anything. That's great. But I think you have to have different gears in Test cricket and find the balance between, being attacking, being defensive, playing the situation, playing the pitch. So, yes, it's wonderful. Everyone's talking about Bazball, but also we are in the results business. And England haven't really performed in terms of results of late. They didn't retain the Ashes or win the Ashes. The New Zealand Test series had lots of ups and downs. And now we find ourselves 2-1 down in this series. So, yes, Bazball's been great, but also we need to win.
True. And after you talk about winning, you just stated. So after having started the test series with a victory over India, suddenly England suffered 2 back-to-back massive defeats. So what would you assign the root cause for the defeats, and where did England suddenly, lose their course?
Well, India have also played, you're coming up against an opposition that are on home soil, very comfortable in their environment, a very good team. used to playing in those conditions. England have got a varied team in terms of a lot of young guys making their way into the Test arena, who've probably not been in India very often. So that's obviously very difficult. I just think key moments, India have been so much better. And also when they've got a score on the board, they've gone on and gone big. So like your Jaiswals, you guys have gone on and got big totals, which come towards the back end of an innings or a test match. It is very telling, and scoreboard pressure always counts. And India have just played the bigger moments and performed better consistently when it mattered.
Okay. England have won matches with their Bazball approach before, but do you think this is the right approach for Asian conditions?
I think in Asian conditions, you have to be positive. Okay. You can't get bogged down. You can't just let the conditions dictate how you play. But again, it's finding that balance between everything and playing the moments. And I think sometimes Bazball, maybe England have fallen down with using that term or playing like that. But I would like England to be positive. In India, it is difficult. But if you're playing positive cricket, you back each other. We saw the first test where England didn't really have much hope. And you saw that wonderful Tom Hartley, who, got a bit of a hammer in the first innings, bowled beautifully and sort of won the test match for England. And that was brilliant to see. But India have come back very strong. They've got some new guys who, like your Sarfrazes and Jaiswals, who've just put themselves on the world stage. It's wonderful to see. So England have got to come back well this test match. It's going to be difficult, but things can happen if you play well and be positive.
Very true. And you mentioned the name of a certain player. So I would like to personally know from you that in this ongoing test series, until now, 3 matches have panned out. One particular player each from India and England who has impressed you, and one particular player each from India and England who hasn't quite impressed you, or let's just be direct, has disappointed you.
Well, I wouldn't say, test match is difficult. It's called a test match for a reason. It tests you mentally, physically. You're under pressure constantly. The Indian players, to start with, what they have to deal with, billions of people wanting them to do well are right behind them. So the pressure is huge. So for them to go out and perform as well is truly wonderful, honestly. For me, Jaiswal, I've named him 3 or 4 times. Wow. I mean, he has everything that I've seen that a great player can have. The balance, the poise, he has all the shots. He has the temperament. To go on and score those big totals, to have the willingness to bat long has been amazing. He's really amazed me. One little thing, can he do it on different conditions? That'll remain to be seen. But what I've seen so far, he's been absolutely brilliant and beautiful to watch. I've been really impressed with Ben Duckett on the England side, opening the batting for England. Again, a left-hander, again, has all the shots, very difficult to bowl at. So he's one standout in India that's been, a big positive for me. I wouldn't say negatives in terms of the players you said who haven't performed. Bumrah is wonderful, isn't he? I mean, I love watching him. He can change the game, with one little spell. But I suppose Mohammad Siraj, I love his bowling. He's kind of not performed as well as I thought, but this happens in cricket. I suppose from the England, I just want more consistency. I'm not solely going to pick out one individual, but I think you want consistency from the bowling attack, and they've not quite had that just yet. They've not all fired together. And again, that sometimes is, the Indian batsmen have put the England players like Bazball. The Indian players have been attacking and put the England bowlers under pressure. So for me, it's just trying to find that consistency within that bowling unit for England.
Okay. And let's talk about the England players. Joe Root's performance with the bat has come under very deep scrutiny and criticism as well. So where and how would you suggest Root is finding it difficult?
Well, Root's a fine player, isn't he? He's a world-class, wonderful player. He's probably going to be one of England's greatest ever players. For me, I think, look, you are allowed to be out of form. There are times when you get good deliveries and play rash shots, and all of a sudden, you've had a run of low scores. I think maybe not a criticism to Joe, but I would like Joe just to play his own natural game rather than getting sucked in maybe to the Bazball effect. Is he scores very quickly anyway because he has all the shots. He's a wonderful shot player. He's such a talented cricketer. He can play in any occasion. He scored runs all over the world. So for me, he's just get back to being Joe Root and playing like Joe Root can rather than, going in and trying to score very, very quickly, which he does anyway when he plays his own natural game.
Okay. And Johnny Bairstow has also struggled a lot. Thoughts on his lean patch as well?
Again, it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's a lean patch. And, I think when you're in a run of form like he is it time maybe to bring someone in and change it up a little bit? Take him out of the situation, let him have a restock, maybe work in the nets technically if maybe he has one or two little technical issues, which again, when you're playing all different types of cricket, these things can creep in. But look, again, Johnny's a fine cricketer and these things happen. But yeah, if you want to win test matches, you can't really always afford to have maybe two or three players out of form at the same time, because then you're going to find it very, very difficult to win test matches.
Okay. And your take on skipper Ben Stokes, how has he been till now?
I mean, I love Ben Stokes. You have to say that he's changed the dynamics of England cricket with the way they play and the style of cricket. His captaincy is wonderful. He backs his players to the hill. He supports his players. He doesn't lie down. I think, again, what I'd like to see is just sometimes playing the situation and not going all guns blazing with Bazball all the time.
Okay. And, let's talk about another legendary player from England. Undoubtedly, James Anderson is a modern day legend without a shadow of a doubt. But would you say that it's about time that he made way for the youngsters waiting in the wings into the team?
Well, I wouldn't say that because he's still performing. He's still not going for runs. He's still very, very fit. He's still very driven. And problem is, be careful what you always wish for. Once someone's a certain age, it's always, oh, he's too old. We need the younger generation to come in. And I get that. That's the sign of the times. But let's not forget, he's still the senior player and he can bring the youngsters through by his experience, and he's been there, he's done it, the skills that he possesses. So I'd like Jimmy to carry on as long as possible. He's a wonderful cricketer and England needs someone like that. You can't just have 4 or 5 inexperienced fast bowlers because you're always going to get those inconsistencies with the younger generation. So for me, Jimmy stays around as long as he can.
That's a very good point you put out at the end. Are you happy with this England squad that they have come to India with? Like, is there any player you think would have fared better in this series if given a chance?
No, I think England, maybe due to 1 or 2 injuries, I think England have found, they've got a nice balance to the team. They're playing the situation once again. The first test match, it was conducive to spin. And they weren't scared of, maybe playing 3 spinners, which is brilliant. So now they're going down the route of playing the opposition, playing the current team, playing the situation, which I really like. So I wouldn't say so. Of course, there's always players when things don't go well, or why has he been picked, or he should be picked. It happens in every team. But for me, England have got the right team. It's just playing better consistently as a unit.
Okay. You mentioned the name of Ben Duckett right now, whom you've been admiring a lot from England, and he's been very good with his batting. So recently, he made the headlines with a certain statement. Ben Duckett, after the conclusion of the 3rd test, remarked that Yashasvi Jaiswal has been in red-hot form because, and I'll quote Ben Duckett, he has learned from the Bazball approach and not his own caliber. Would you agree to that?
Yes, no, I'm joking. I feel that sometimes, when you're under pressure and players sometimes say things that they maybe don't mean. I think Jaiswal's been absolutely wonderful. And look, he's been, knocking on the door for quite some time. I've heard of the name for quite some time. People have mentioned him for quite some time. So he's his own cricketer, Jaiswal, quite absolutely. He's a complete cricketer. I think sometimes I like the mind games. Maybe Ben's saying, but he's a positive cricketer in himself, isn't he? Ben Duckett again. He's been positive at the top of the order, been attacking. They're both attacking cricketers, aren't they? Which I really like. I like watching them, but don't always buy into what they say. I mean, look, it's a great talking point, isn't it? And I love those little things because it's nice to have a little bit of needle in test matches and people not being happy with comments that certain players have made. But again, it just makes for another good test match and people will be watching out for Ben Duckett and how he's going to perform, having come out with those comments.
Okay. Let's talk about the England team in this remainder of the series. England are lagging 1-2 against them. So, for the remainder of the series, do you still believe that England can still turn things around and stage a comeback? Like they still stand a chance?
Of course, whatever match you're playing, you have to believe. You really do. I think it's no point going out there and not believing in your own ability as a group, as an individual. And Ben Stokes will be, putting that into the players in practice, saying, go out there. We're not going to change. I think it's just, again, finding the balance. But yes, England will be positive. They have to believe they can win in India. Of course, it's going to be very, very difficult now. 2-1 down. It's an uphill battle. But you have to believe you can, because if you don't, there's no point playing.
That's some very quality optimism there. Let's go back a bit now into time. The ODI World Cup of 2023, which was held in India, had England entering as not just the defending champions, but also one of the tournament favorites. However, their campaign turned out to be quite disappointing, very surprisingly and unfortunately. So, where would you say things went wrong for them?
Well, once again, I wouldn't put my finger on where things went wrong. I would just say the fact that England just weren't at the races. They didn't perform again. You have to play well as a team, and they just quite didn't. With all the optimism and the positiveness surrounding England going to India and being world champions, yes, of course, it was bitterly disappointing. But I thought, Australia grew and grew in stature. They ended up, by coming to the final, they were the team in form and they hit the straps at the right time. So it wasn't no surprise that Australia won, whereas England, blew up at the first hurdle, really. So these things happen. I think preparation sometimes can be key, or how you're feeling as a team, where the players are at in terms of form and how they're feeling. Having played a lot of cricket, a big test series, and then some ODIs and then no ODIs, and players having a rest, and then going to India and, finding it challenging as it is with the weather and conditions. So it was one of those tournaments. It was very disappointing, obviously, but these things happen, and, other teams that are allowed to play better. And it was a great tournament, wasn't it? The only criticism I would have for the tournament, not just England, was it went on so long. It was far too long, the tournament. We don't want it that long because it took forever. There's got to find a way of maybe not shortening the games, but making sure the tournament's a little bit shorter.
And for the upcoming T20 World Cup 2024 to be played in just a few months, England will again be entering the tournament as defending champions and as one of the favorites. So how do you reckon England's chances this time?
Oh, we're gonna totally win. We're gonna win, absolutely, hands down. No, England have got a wonderful chance. If you look at, the IPL, every team now is so strong. South Africa Premier League so good. The Caribbean Premier League, England. You've got a lot of England players traveling the world and playing T20 cricket. So I'm just so excited. Of course, I want England to do well. Of course, like the Indian. People want India to do well. But I think it's got the makings of a wonderful tournament because there's so many strong teams now. So it's anyone's guess who can win that tournament. Yes, England have got a great chance, but so have every other team.
That's I like this confidence and this optimism exuding from you. Let's talk about some things from your playing time now. The T20 World Cup back in 2010, you were the joint highest wicket taker for England in that edition. So take us through that journey.
Oh, thank you for asking. It doesn't seem 2 days ago, but it's such a long time. I've got greyer and older and wrinklier. But yeah, it was a wonderful achievement. And around that time, I was bowling well. I was in good form. I played a lot of one-day cricket. I had decent skills. I think now that was the time when left armers were kind of becoming fashionable. You know, before it'd always viewed that left armers, can we have him in the team? But you know, you looked at the IPL, each team had either a left arm spinner or a left arm seamer, just because of variety and the different angles that they can create. So yeah, it was just a great tournament. You know, it was amazing. Sort of, you know, when you maybe like the Australia, you know, winning this World Cup just gone, the fact that they actually weren't in good form, and no one really gave them a chance. And I think it was the same in 2010. No one gave England a chance. And we just, you know, we grew in confidence. We got better and better, and we were just very positive. And, you know, we stuck together as a team, and then you never look back. You know, it was just a wonderful tournament, and to be part of something special. Obviously to contribute as well and be, you know, up there with the wickets means so much. So yeah, it was great, and something I'll always cherish as a wonderful memory. You know, what goes into that, maybe to all the fans that are listening to this recording, it isn't just about me, you know, being driven and determined. It's the family, you know, my mum and my father giving up their time, you know, buying me equipment, you know, traveling, taking me everywhere, you know, from a young age to get to that position. You know, there's a lot of factors involved in that. And it isn't just, of course, yes, I'm out there playing and being under pressure, but the reason I'm there is because of my family and my parents and my teammates and, you know, my county team. So there's a lot of things that go into it, that it's not just me as a player.
That was a wonderful campaign which England had at that time, and they were a very, very, a team definitely to beat, a team to definitely look at. Uh, you played one test series against India back in 2007. So, any incident from that series that is still fresh in your mind?
No. You know what? I think all I can say is playing against one of the greatest teams or players. You know, it was just wonderful to sort of, you know, I got injured for the test series in India, and then I was injured again for another test series in England. So to play against Tendulkar, Dravid, Laxman, Ganguly, Dhoni, Anil Kumble, Zaheer Khan, it was just wonderful to sort of pit my wits against some of the greats of the game. So I remember the test series. We didn't win, but I just remember bowling at Tendulkar, and it was phenomenal. Something, again, I'll never forget. You know, playing against those players is truly humbling and something very special.
So let's talk about this very special moment that you had. You mentioned the name of some greats from that time. You dismissed batters like Saurav Ganguly, VVS Lakshman, Dinesh Karthik, and MS Dhoni in that series. So among them, which was your favorite wicket?
Oh, let me think. I mean, it's just, yeah, I would probably say Dhoni was my favourite wicket, which was at Trent Bridge. It was probably the best I've ever bowled in a test match, and I only got one wicket. I think I made Tendulkar play and miss on numerous occasions, and it was just one of those days where I was bowling well, but I just didn't have any luck. And I managed to get Dhoni. I think I bowled like 19 overs for 20 runs in the day. And I came off the field like really, really chuffed. But at the end, no one was bothered because I'd only got one wicket. But it was just one of those moments where individually you realise you bowled very, very well, but been quite unfortunate not to take the wickets that you deserve.
Okay, so that one wicket was more than enough. You keep you cheering.
Yeah, again, I think it was just the way I bowled. You'll get all bowlers probably say that. There's been days where they bowl not very well, and they get fifers and fourfers, and they're like, you know, the guy at the other end's bowled beautiful. And it was probably the same. I think Chris Tremlett got a fifer, and that's no criticism to Chris Tremlett, but I probably bowled 5 times better than him. It's just one of those things. But it was just wonderful that's to play in a series against India, you know, and bowl against, you know, a global phenomenon in Sachin Tendulkar was truly special.
Okay. Who is the toughest batter you have bowled to in your entire international career, and why so?
I mean, Dravid would have to be up there. The wall, you know, Rahul Dravid, the wall, you know, very wonderful technique, great player, and also a very tough character, tough to get out. So I'd have to say Rahul Dravid.
Rahul Dravid. Okay, he is currently the coach of India.
Uh-huh.
So would you say, would you put it this way that he is avenging that dismissal from you?
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, he was always destined to be a coach, I think, wasn't he? He was. I
Yeah.
remember once he was playing for Kent in on the county circuit, and he actually came and spoke to me and just spoke to me how as a human being and how I bowled, and he gave me a few little tips. And I was only probably 18, 19, and you don't kind of forget that. So I think he was kind of destined to be a coach at some stage in his career.
He has been phenomenal. At least as an Indian fan, I can say he has been phenomenal for Indian cricket. Now I would like to know from you who, according to you, is the greatest batter of all time.
Tendulkar has to be Sachin Tendulkar. Um, Let me think who else. Jack Callis. Jack Callis, wonderful all rounder, but Sachin Tendulkar for me.
Okay, yes, of course. We refer to him as the god of cricket. He has been so phenomenal with his records. And the greatest bowler of all time, according to you?
Oh, Jimmy Anderson.
Jimmy Anderson. Okay. Uh, I'll just ask you your favorite batter from the current generation.
Joe Root, undoubtedly. Just he's brilliant in all formats. Wonderful player, and a real nice human being as well.
Joe Root. Okay. And your favorite bowler from the current
Yes.
generation?
Ooh, Bumrah for me.
Bumrah.
I just love
What do you
it.
what do you find so special about him? What do you find so special about him?
Well, he's just a genuine wicket taker. He's got all the skills, any conditions. He can bowl Yorkers at will. He's got slower balls. He changes games, wherever it's the 60th over or the first over. I just love watching him perform as well. And it's fascinating, isn't it, how he generates so much pace from such a short run up. So he's just a fascinating bowler and a wonderful bowler to boot.
And you just mentioned the IPL, so I presume that you follow it. And if you do, then would you like to mention which team happens to be your favorite team from the IPL?
Oh, well, so I'm a Mumbai Indians fan,
Ah,
massive Mumbai Indians fan, just because of your Tendulkar and, they're just such a huge, they've won it on many occasions. Rohit Sharma is a fine, fine player, great captain. So Mumbai Indian fans, yes, don't quote me on this. I love the IPL. I love all teams, but the team that I kind of keep my eye on is the Mumbai Indians.
okay, and I'll come to the final question of this entire interview session. I'll end this interview with the two predictions from you. What do you think about the final scoreline of this ongoing India versus England series? And do you think has the best chances of winning the upcoming T20 World Cup?
So I'm going to reverse it. T20 World Cup, I'm going to go England or India. But for this series, I would love to think 3-2 England, but I think it's going to be 4-1 India, just judging by where India are, how they're playing. Obviously, England under pressure now to perform. And what comes with that? Could it come with more mistakes? So I love 3-2, but I think 4-1 India.
Okay, that's a very bold prediction from your end, but you never know. England have all the potential to bounce back, and we do hope
Yes, they do.
bounce back because they are definitely one of the teams around the world against whom, at least I know, India love to play. They are one of the best teams around the world. So, with this, I'll conclude this interview session here.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you were hearing Ryan Sidebottom. Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming into this interview, taking out some time and talking to us. It was so
Thank you.
lovely to hear from you. And to all our viewers out there, if you are that true ecstatic cricket fan, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. CricXtasy is your channel. I was your host, Damini Basu, presenting it to you. If you wish to be updated regarding any sort of news on cricket, be it India or around the world, do not forget to press that bell icon. And as for this video, like and share as much as possible. And in the comment section, do let us know how much, to what extent do you agree with Ryan's predictions regarding the series or even the upcoming World Cup. And with this, I'll take your leave from Ryan, you and our viewers out there. And I'll be back with another video and another interview. Until then, do take care of yourselves and it's goodbye.